Thank you, Sandy, for that powerful keynote and the inspiration you've brought to the start of this series. Your vision sets the perfect foundation for the conversations ahead. Now, we move into a fireside chat that explores one of the most critical shifts of our time, how the role of a CHRO is evolving and how workplaces are being reimagined in the age of AI. We're joined by two remarkable leaders, Dr. Nahla Boudiab, CEO of AM Bank and Chair and GM of Oneness Management. A global expert in culture and leadership, Dr. Nahla is known for developing the culture risk management methodology and for championing the Arab world's first gender diversity charter, bringing a rare depth of insight into the intersection of values, leadership, and transformation. Joining her is Vijay Sethi, advisory board member at Network Science and a respected name in the technology space. With the unique distinction of having held both CIO and CHRO roles, Vijay brings a powerful perspective on blending technology with people strategy. He continues to serve on the boards and advisory councils of several Indian organizations, guiding future forward thinking across sectors. This promises to be a thoughtful and insightful conversation. Let's dive in. Over to you, Dr. Nahla and Mr. Vijay.
Thank you very much. Hello, Dr. Nahla. How are you? So good morning, good
Hello, how are
evening,
you?
everyone. Welcome to this session on reimagining work and the CHRO's role in the new age. Let me first thank Network Sciences, Sandy, Asawari, Ash, and all the team members on this concept of DTIW, the Deep Tech Innovation Week. I know we used to have the Deep Tech Innovation LA, but now with week and having specific days or focus on one of the key areas on each of these days is really, really fantastic. And HR being one of the key pillars in this entire thing, I was really happy that we have a session dedicated just for CHROs or the HR piece. Now, as I see this entire thing, we know that AI today, there won't be any organization where AI is not on the table for discussions. Every organization is really talking about AI, good, bad, ugly, the way you look at it, but everyone is talking. And it's not just about a normal Gen AI or people using a chat GPT or any of its other avatars for the day-to-day work but actually AI is really impacting all aspects of the organization, be it manufacturing, be it sales, all other areas, including HR. We know that a lot of companies are actually using AI a lot, whether in the resume selections, even AI doing the interviews, and they say that the success rate of an AI interview is much better than a human interview where there could be a lot of biases. So with this entire thing, what is really happening is that the entire workplace of the future is really, really changing. And earlier, people were talking about AI really being coming to disrupt the organizations. As I see, it's not about disruption at all. We need to really change the narrative. And the narrative is to that can I really reimagine the entire workplace as to we know that AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's not a fad. So in this, rather than treating it as a disruption, can it be really how do I reimagine the workplace? And who's the person who is to first really do the reimagining apart from the CEO at one end is the CHRO. CHRO has to lead. And that's where a CHRO, today the spotlight is not just on CIO or a CTO who does what kind of Python, what kind of algorithms we put on AI. That's one piece. But more importantly, it is not just about data. It is not just about tech. It is first about people. And that's what many people are not really realizing. As I see, this AI revolution is more about people, and that's where the spotlight on the entire CHRO word is. So when earlier we used to say that it's a nice to have, now it is when can we really, what have we done on AI, what more can be done. Earlier the focus was, if I look from a CHRO perspective, it used to be that you have a metric of how many people have I hired, what's my operational efficiency, what is the individual productivity, and those kind of things, and how do I really enhance the employee experience. But this imperative either in some organizations has fundamentally shifted or should shift, that going 2025, 27, 29, 30, the organization is an AI centric organization, humans and AI have to work together. And that is perhaps, as I see with, we'll have a conversation with Dr. Nala as to how does this entire new thing really come up, and how do we see the future of organizations, and especially keeping the role of CHRO in mind as to what CHROs should be doing, and more importantly, as I see, should not be doing, because traditionally over last many years, CHROs have, I have been personally a CHRO, so everyone is used to doing a particular kind of work. But in the new world, maybe many of those things, many of our learnings will not take us forward. Dr. Nala, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. I love this topic. It's so close to my heart because I have I think this is one of the most beautiful times for humanity, because AI and technology will not only disrupt, I see them as the triggers of human freedom. Back in the industrial economy, what we have done as leaders and organizations is we've literally stripped humans from their soul. We took away their ability to be creative humans. And that's a basic human need, to create, to think, to explore, to dream, to visualize. Those are basic human needs. So for many years, we've turned people into robots. We give them processes, we control them in the organization, we tell them what to do, what not to do. And the one thing that we hate is to allow creativity, because creativity prevents organizational controls. So now, and this is something I've been advocating, and I speak a lot about it on LinkedIn. It's a really topic that is really close to my heart. And it's really hard to take this step towards human freedom if you're comfortable with the status quo, with what's there. So to me, with technology, we don't have a choice now. We have to free people. We have to take the jobs that need to be done through technology, give those jobs to technology, and unleash human potential. So it's a beautiful time that, in my opinion, every human needs to be celebrating. It's the beginning of our freedom.
Very well said. In fact, I remember the first DTIA happened. Yeah, you're saying something.
No, go ahead.
So in that, I remember when I was asked to talk on AI, I said AI is not artificial intelligence, and the word kind of things that you just spoke about, which is, it's more of an augmented intelligence, where AI is actually helping individuals. Some of the tasks can be given back to the AI, where they play a major role. For example, AI strength could be a speed, accuracy, data processing at a scale, pattern recognition. But some of the things are left back to human beings, whether it is creativity, the word that you rightly spoke about, empathy, critical thinking, problem solving skills, strategic decision making, those kind of things are left. But if the individual really frees up a lot of time, because the mundane regular activities are being taken by AI, the power or the potential that is actually unleashed on the organizations is really huge. So if there's a call center agent, half the things are being done, 90% things are being done by chatbot. The remaining time that the call center executive has, he or she can do actually so many other things which can help improve the customer experience, customer satisfaction, and things like that. Same thing with others. I think that's where, as I call it, it's more of a human plus AI workforce strategy, if I can use that word, rather than just a human workforce strategy or an AI workforce. Your views.
Yeah, it's as exciting as it is, we need to pay attention to the fact that implementation and actually making the shift is going to require a commitment, and we need to work on reducing fears. Because when you've taken a person and you've placed them in prison for so long, they don't know how to behave outside this prison. So when you set them free, it's going to be quite scary for them. And this is not something that can be done with one decision. There are things that need to be done. Leadership needs to come together to plan this transition. So it's exciting, but there's a lot of work to be done. And I think most of the work is at the top leadership level.
So when you say, for example, top leadership, and I again have one thought which to my mind I always believe in, is that culture always flows from top. If the guys at the top do not get into a so-called data-driven culture or do not really accept AI as a co-worker for themselves and just try to push it at the middle level or lower level, you will never get the benefits of AI as one could be getting. And as you rightly said, I think onus is on the top, and from an HR perspective, CHRO is on the top, and that's where the major onus lies.
I think you bring a really important. You triggered a really important thought in my head. So when they think about benefiting from technology, we need to also start talking about the fact that we are going to start benefiting from human potential, because currently we're not. So currently we've taken humans that can offer so much, and we've placed them in a bottle, and we said that's all we want from you. And now we have technology that can give us those same things that we have imposed on humanity. And so when we, at the board level, when the chairman of the board and the board members are sitting talking about the benefits, they need to not only look at the benefit of technology implementation, but also look at the benefit of freeing human creativity and human potential. They will be getting two benefits from two different places. I think looking at one or the other is a big mistake and will deprive organizations from a lot of value that they can actually have.
So there is one thing which always I again speak, and that while AI is coming in, and one word that you use, for example, creativity. Now, unleash the creativity. Now, there is a school of thought, and I also subscribe to that to a large extent, that in many cases, actually, AI is kind of inhibiting the creativity of the people, because instead of me thinking about a lot of things, I'll just get into a chat GPT or Gemini or any of its brothers, sisters, whatever it may be, and then ask all those things, collate from four things, and just give it. Whereas I'm not really applying my brain. So that's where perhaps a CHRO's role in today's time or future times really becomes, how does one really ensure that the guys really do not become more mechanical, where they are just using these tools and trying to save their time, but using that entire time for being much more creative and using even the information that they are getting from all these sources. And even while AI, for example, can do a lot of pattern recognitions, but only up to that. Can I then augment it by using my own human brains?
You know, when we talk about systems and technology and AI, we need to. I have a perspective on this. Those tools have access to memories, to information, to history, to events that have already been created.
Correct.
And so even if you have the best technologies, the fastest, you can get outstanding data, outstanding analysis reports on things that have already happened. But what does that mean? That means AI cannot possibly innovate. AI will not be able to dream of something better. That is a human functionality. And I think a really key step in getting people to understand the value of not only the freedom, but the ability to use their own innate powers, creativity being one of those powers, is we need at the leadership level to stop positioning AI as a competitor for humans.
Absolutely.
You know, it blows my mind how we do things. So we've been talking for a few years that AI will replace humans. We created a fear that's so intense in humans, and instead of focusing on building up their ability to express their potential, we created a competitor called AI, and now we want them to embrace that competitor that's going to replace them. That's just ridiculous. I mean, the way we're looking at this is phenomenally disturbing to me.
Absolutely. So the two things, again, if I just look from what you said, two things come to my mind immediately. One is, if I look from a CHRO's role perspective or HR's role perspective, one of the key things whenever an employee comes into an organization or during the course later, so there's a concept called job description. And from job description, the starting point is a job, as to what task the person is expected to do, what he or she will do, and how the entire thing would be. Now, in the AI era, I think what CHROs also need to do is to redefine job. Because when a job is a collection of tasks, I may be doing certain tasks, but some of these in between are being done by an AI assistant. And that's where the job description in itself becomes very fluid. Because as you said, that we are, for example, freeing up some time for creativity, thinking something very different, all those things, which may not be part of a regular job description. And that's where I think CHROs really need to also start thinking today that please don't go by the traditional definition of a job, traditional definition of a task, and a traditional definition of a job description. And that's where the mindset of CHROs themselves has to be first changed. They
Oh,
can't be thinking traditionally because, as the point that you said on from starting from the top, I think the CHROs themselves need to first change their own mindset and come up with this thing that how AI is going to impact me. Forget my organization, forget my HR department, but first, how is it changing my own thought process?
Absolutely. There's so much that needs to change, and it begins all with one perspective. We need to change our perspective of how we view employees and managers.
Correct.
We currently view them as assets, as the resources. They are not assets and they are not resources. And so once you change your perspective, that change is going to trigger a collapse in the organizational system. We have to lose words like job descriptions. I mean, think about it. What is a job description? A job description tells me that I am limited to performing these tasks. Organizationally, we like to think that a job description tells an employee that you have to do all of these tasks. From a human perspective, a job description is limiting me to only do these tasks. So there's this major transformation of how we view humans, how we view organizations. We need to shift the view of an organization from a controlling entity to an entity that actually unleashes innovation. Everything will have to change at the HR level, and the CHRO has to be the first person that transforms into something totally different, something more beautiful, something more rewarding. And they need to shift from managing humans as robots and controlling humans to basically managing humans as beautiful, high potential people that have tremendous potential. So the job of the CHRO needs to shift from controlling to unleashing. And this will dictate a major culture transformation. And that's exciting.
This is exciting. And I really liked that line. And as you were saying, you said managing humans, they should not be managing humans as robots, which many CHROs I know they do. But maybe I'll just add a twist to that, if it's okay with you. So we should not manage humans as robots, but actually manage robots also as humans in today's time, because those robots are also actually working in the organization. So it has to be that human-centric organization where humans and robots really work so collaboratively.
Totally. I mean, I don't think we won't struggle much to manage robots because we've been treating humans like robots for decades. So we're good at that. We won't have a problem with that one.
Maybe robots will. I think yesterday or day before yesterday, I was reading a blog somewhere. Maybe you would have also read of an organization. I think it's a US-based organization, where in the org structure as such, one of the senior positions reporting to a CEO is actually a robot. So they call it Chief Listening Officer. So the reality is AI is now getting not just into some random jobs in the organization, but they are formally part of, in that particular organization, formally part of the org structure. And that's where you need to really, as you said, manage the entire thing.
And we can do that. We're human. We're the bosses. We could do whatever we want. We can redesign the organization. We can drop terms like structure, job descriptions, asset. We could do whatever we want. I think that is the beauty about being a human being. Everything that has been created on Earth so far was created by humans. So we can create whatever we want. And I think That perspective is really empowering. It's really important to understand how powerful we are because we have these innate abilities.
Correct. So look, I know that there have been huge amount of job losses occurring across enterprises and things like that. A lot of them really putting it on AI, some not putting it on AI, and all those things. All of us have gone through that. I think it was today morning that I was reading Wall Street Journal. There's an article in Wall Street Journal today, and which says that now earlier when you would ask a CEO, for example, and you are a CEO from that perspective, when we would ask a CEO, investor would ask or somebody that what is the likely impact of AI on the organization? So they would give a wishy-washy answer saying this, that, whatever it may be, but not a direct answer. But now, I think there were many of the global organization CEOs who were kind of quoted over there who said that yes, AI is formally going to restructure our organizations. There could be job losses, all those things. Earlier they would say, no, no, there are some new jobs being created, something with some reskilling. So it would be a wishy-washy answer, but they're giving very direct answers to the investors saying that yes, it's going to lead to job losses. So where I personally think that if a CEO comes into an organization and says that AI is going to job losses, what does really happen on the organization's current employees' mindset? There's a huge amount of fear and anxiety would get into everybody's mind. Am I the next person? Is my team the next person? Is my boss the next person? I don't know till what time should I really be part of this organization. I'll start looking out, or I'll have all sorts of negative reactions about the organization. Now, in this, coming back to again reimagining from a CHRO's role, I personally think that CHRO's role again becomes much more pivotal, which till now they have not really played this role where they are kind of ensuring that people don't have that fearfulness in their own minds or anxiety in their minds. So they transparent communication, regular communication, which they have been doing for years and years, but now it has to be very focused, as I see, so that they just target that anxiety and give a real clarity and the context to the employees. But for that, now again, stepping back and looking at myself as a CHRO, if I have to give a regular communication, transparent communication, or give a context or clarity, do I have myself that clarity? Is it that I am in my own heart and mind equally fearful, equally anxious, and then say, so as and someone who's very anxious, I can't just be going to public and say, no, 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 you relax, nothing would happen. So the CHROs, again, the coming back to the point of culture, mindset, I think CHROs it has to start from CHROs themselves, that they have to be very, very conscious of what AI can do, cannot do, and how they transform themselves, their teams, and the organization in ensuring that the objectives are met.
Do you know, I really love the points you're highlighting. Now, I'm going to say this because it's my belief, and I mean no offense to anyone with this statement, but this is my belief, and I will say it.
Yeah, please.
Layoffs that are triggered because of technology are an indication of leadership failure. Why do I say this? Because we are so good at, the board and the CEOs of organizations are so good at planning the sustainability of the finances of an organization. You plan for the future when you're talking about finance. You look at your P&L, you set objectives, you set targets, and your job is to ensure that your organizational survival is guaranteed. The problem with us is we don't see humans as part of our responsibilities. So we've been talking about technology. AI didn't appear yesterday to cause layoffs. We've been talking about technology over 20 years. Over 20 years ago, we started talking about technology. Much more than that, yeah. Why did leadership not plan the evolution of their employees? Because they don't see them as their responsibility. So if I was leading an organization and I saw, and this is actually something I have done personally in my organization, we were watching to see the evolution and the fast progression of technology. And so you initiate programs in the organization to develop the people that currently have the skills that AI will replace. That's your job as a CEO. You don't just let them sit there, do the job until you're ready to replace them. And so I feel really strongly about this because I think we spend so much time looking at the the future of the organization from a P&L and assets perspective, and we totally ignore the people, and they are the most important responsibility we have. And part of the reason why I'm even very affectionate when it comes to that topic is anytime we talk about this, we as CEOs are labeled as soft. Well, my friends, real power is evolving humanity within the organization. It's not looking at a P&L and planning, an increase in profits. That's easy. Real work is when you start evolving your people within your organization.
Yeah, and you need to plan it well, as you said that I do my sales forecasting for next 10 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But I don't do my manpower forecasting for 10 years, saying that after second year I'll suddenly lay off 90,000 people or 9,000 people. I don't do that ever.
Not even manpower. I'm talking about what do your people, what do they know? Do they know what to do? Do they know what functions? Do they know how to behave as humans? Well, it's your responsibility since you removed their soul. It's your responsibility to give it back to them and teach them how to live with it. You know what I mean? So I think it's beautiful because now we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
And I think that's that culture of continuous, if I can use the word adaptability or reskilling, that has to be built in the organizations. So in many organizations, I've seen that the training, everything is, you have a standard training calendar, you just do a tick box that yes, I have done this training, this training, this training. Whereas no one is really thinking of future skills. No one is thinking of what the real issues in the organization which are there. No one is really spending too much time on so-called EQ part of the entire thing from a future perspective and how it's likely to impact or already impacting the organization. And that's when I find the CHROs guilty in that.
The training component is really interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. So what do we train on? So I've recently launched an institute called the Institute of Resilience.
Oh.
What do we train on? We don't train on the core components that will actually strengthen human potential. We don't do that. We train them on technical things that anybody can actually acquire. What about training? What about building resilience at the human level, at the employee level, at the management level? And I think that it's time we start giving culture resilience the priority it warrants, bringing it to the board. And I really invite chairmen and board members to start bringing those ratios to the board table and start actually making CEOs accountable for those ratios instead of labeling them as soft and forcing CEOs who would love to do this, but they probably won't do it because they'll be labeled as soft and not so powerful. So bring it to the board. Let's relabel. Let's change how we talk about it, how we describe it, and make it a board level priority.
Correct. So resilience, for example, I think if you look at any article over last for 4 or 5 years, one of the key things, especially after COVID came in, was that organizations need to enhance resilience, which means that at least HR leaders in the organization have to focus on resilience. But you would have seen, and since you are in that, at least from my perspective, when I see none of the organizations really see resilience as one of the key training areas where people are imparting training on resilience, though everyone in all forums, many of these CHRO CEOs do say that we need to enhance resilience and all that. But where's the action on ground? Because for them, it is still that, okay, you give a soft skill on communication skills, you give a how to handle customers, all those are much more training. Whereas resilience is something which in this so-called VUCA world, and AI really ensuring that it becomes even super VUCA. No, resilience has to be there. But Now, since you are into this, and that's a curiosity for me also, why do you think people are really bothered about resilience as a focus area in training? Most of the people, most of the CHROs are not really focusing on resilience as a training area, whereas that should be among the top.
Well, because first of all, I have not seen any resilience programs out there that truly trigger resilience. Plus, we don't agree what resilience is. So if you go talk to someone, they could tell you that resilience is an organizational component that I measure. For me, resilience cannot start at the organization. It has to start at the human level. And so you ask me what resilience is. I tell you that when you think, you feel, and you behave in alignment, that is resilience. However, we're so used to breaking things up into little pieces because it's easier to manage. So what do we want from employees? They come into the organization. We don't care what they think or feel. We just want them to give us. So whatever you do, however you define it, that is not resilience. So the reason people are not, this is not, a big priority. First of all, I think we lack the training. So you don't see a lot of training at the leadership level. They don't know what resilience is. Second, you have to really value a human being, to work on the resilience. And we like shortcuts. We like to produce money very, very quickly. So we don't understand that if I focus on human resilience, I'm going to get sustainability, success, profitability, increased productivity, but I won't get it tomorrow morning. I may get it in 2 months. And we just don't want to wait that long. So instead of dealing with the root cause, we behave in a way where we separate, we treat, and we want quick wins.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Culture is never a quick win also. Whether resilience, culture, these can't be quick wins. You can't just switch on, switch off. You really have to put in a lot of efforts in doing that.
Yeah. And you know what? What's interesting? Once you do it, then your quick wins are very fast. Yeah, it's like turning a light on. Yeah. It's not like you need 2 years to turn the light on, but you need to know the process of turning the light on. Right. Once you do that, the light will come on very quickly, and you will have a lot of benefits. Employees will have a lot of benefits. But I think you have to have this as a major value in your belief system. You need to really want to make a contribution to human life, because once human life is of a high quality, organizational output will be of very high quality, and we will increase profitability. Leaders like to hear this. This will increase your profitability, because no one will do it unless it touches the bottom line. Where my doctorate research is called Spirituality in the Organization. It took me 7 years, and I did it with the University of Liverpool. And I provided evidence that if you do this, you will improve organizational performance. So if leaders don't want to do it for the sake of humanity, do it for the sake of your organizations. Yeah. Just do it.
And CHROs, especially CHROs, because they are at the nerve center of this entire tech revolution, while CTOs do whatever they do. But CHROs need to ensure that that's sustained and the organization really achieves the goals, whatever they set in. And where this entire thing, both AI and humans work so collaboratively. So that's where, as I can see Sandy really popping up and kind of telling us that, okay, it's time to...
It is not time.
I know that there have been good discussions happening, but Dr. Nahla...
I would love just to make one more comment. I'll take 1 second. I think the biggest challenge CHROs have is to align themselves with the right chairman and board. And this has been the reason for my success. You want to align yourself with a chairman and a board of directors that actually believe in this. Otherwise, they will spend most of their time convincing the board and the chairman to get approval on doing things. So this is my main advice to CHROs.
Well said. Sandy, back to you. Thank you very much.
No, the reason why I came in is not because of the time. I think this can go on for a long time. Every single conversation between you both have been a masterclass in itself. So, I want this to continue further. The reason why I popped in is one, Nahla, you just mentioned about having the right board and the alignment with the board for the CHRO per se. Yesterday in our DTIA for the for the CEO day, the day one, interestingly, we showcased an AI board for the leadership where you could actually have your chosen leaders. So as a CHRO or whoever, you can choose your leaders that you believe are your like-minded, or you want to act like a sounding board, someone who sometimes has a contrarian view to you, and you want to have a conversation. So you can actually have that AI board now, and you can have a conversation and throw up your ideas and see whether which ones are good as per the advice that you get, because of course every single executive needs help in this ever changing world. So that was fair. It's a great point from you. The reason why I popped in is because there are some questions that we are getting in the from the audience, and I think we would love to
Sure.
love to bring them up for your for your inputs. Uh, in reality, you've answered most of them in this freewheeling conversation, but still, it's important that at least we pick up two of them, if not all, just to get your sense on this. So question one is, how do CHROs balance AI-led transformation with preserving or evolving organizational culture, especially when automation may create fear or uncertainty among employees?
Nahla, you want to start?
I think we've answered that when we said that it's the transformation has to start in the CHRO's mind, in changing the way he or she looks at employees, and from there, major culture transformation to align with that new perspective. And so, if things the way they are, they won't be able to do that. So the issue is a bit bigger than this. They need to go back, and it's as if we're starting to build a new culture and new organizational systems that align with this perspective.
Correct. And the fear and anxiety, Sandy, also comes in because people fear unknown. When they do not get a response which is clear, concise, and an honest response on what is happening, there'll always be fear, anxiety, rumors, all those things. One of the key things that CHR also needs to, number one, from my perspective, ensure that he or she himself or herself is fully aware of the entire context, and also should be able to discuss the same thing with the employees.
Yeah, I think transparency has its own big meaning now, right? And if CHRO has an open conversation with the leadership as well as the employees, I think a lot of this fear will be tackled. There was another question. I think this is the same. I'm just going to read it out. You don't need to respond, because there is an important announcement that just came up 10 minutes back, and I want to have your last comments on that. But I will mention the question first. You mentioned CHROs need to stop thinking traditionally. What mindset shifts have you personally had to make? And how do you help your leadership team do the same, especially in organizations resistant to change?
Correct. So you said need not respond, or
no?
Respond?
I think you will have to respond, I guess, because
Okay, because you said you did not respond.
yeah, no, because I read the first line. I think you had already responded, but when it comes to points, and Vijay, you know this far
So
better.
I think one of the key things over here is the CHRO himself getting convinced, or herself getting convinced, that AI is here to stay. I think that is the biggest mindset change. That's not a passing fad. It's not that 1 year we'll have AI and then we forget AI, then something else comes in, then something else. Then people say, okay, it's a short-term thing, just forget it. Second, a so-called every CHRO has a strategy in his mind, a workforce strategy. Some put it on paper, some do not put it on paper. But in that strategy, when you start thinking of that strategy, instead of thinking it as a human-based strategy only, think of a human AI collaboration where AI is not artificial intelligence but an augmented intelligence. How can I really use the power of AI to augment my workforce and ensure the objectives are met? So it has to, the mindset has to change from CHRO. Third, I'll just put three rather than giving a long laundry list. Third is most of the CHROs are not so-called data-driven CHROs. Okay, which means that they and HR departments in a lot of organizations are more either Excel based or they are driven by gut. I know that if this is happening, this could be the reason. But if you have to drive AI in the organization, you first have to change your own mindset to start relying on data.
Yeah, I guess for organizations that are resistant to change, if you transparently put data in front of them, I think the change will be has to come in. Yeah.
My favorite, another favorite thing is change always begins from yourself. You can't really force people to change unless you change yourself.
Yeah. Nahla, there is a news that came up just 10 minutes back, and very interesting. For the point that you made, right? You made the point that you mentioned that it could be a controversial point of yours, but it was in reality is the best way of articulating that point, that layoffs happen, leadership is to blame, right? How did leadership not train their employees, know that this is going to happen, and hence train the employees well? News just came in. Microsoft has been laying off people for some time now because AI is coming in. 15 minutes back, they've announced the largest number, so 9,000 jobs now are getting laid off. This is the largest chunk. We thought last month was 6,000 jobs, and that was the largest. Now it is 9,000. We don't know where this is going. So, you want to just close this conversation with expanding on the point that you made on leadership and layoffs?
I think that if we as leaders decide that humans are as important as the dollar sign, then all we have to do is plan the evolution the same way we plan the evolution of the dollars in our organizations. It's that simple. It's making it a top priority. And this does not mean that we keep employees that we need, but it does mean that we start thinking about their future when they are no longer needed in those jobs. And I think once we do that and we change our perspective, then we're going to see the world become a better place for all of us and make.
Very well said. Very well said, Nahla. Thank you very much. Vijay, last thoughts from your side, please.
No, I think the CIOs really need to ensure that the organizations are ready for an AI future, number one, and that future is not anything other than now. The future is now. So we need to ensure that we are ready, and for that, it has to start first with CHRO and the HR teams and the leadership, other members of leadership, and then make the organization really future ready to ensure that you continue to grow, and rather than coming up with knee-jerk reactions.
No, it's been fabulous. As I said, I don't want this to end, but we will also. I know you've taken time out from your busy schedule, so thank you very much, Dr. Nahla, Vijay sir. Thank you very much for your time. It's been fabulous conversation, right? And more importantly, because I believe that HR today is coming way down the line in the food chain when it comes to AI. It's the CEOs and then the technology leaders, and then it's afterthought as far as HR is concerned. You guys have obviously brought them at the center of this whole transformation, which is my learning from it. Of course, knowing both of you, this is not scripted. This is right from your heart, right from the experience that you carry, and you also actually put this in practice within your organizations, which is why your inputs is of great importance to us as audience. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Vijay, Nahla, thank you very much.
It was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Really loved the conversation. Thank you much.
Thank you. It's been great talking to you. Sandy, thank you for including me in this. And I'm so happy that we're shifting to a new era as people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.